Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome into another day of Morning JOX here. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell alongside you for the next hour as we tell you everything that you may have missed yesterday afternoon and get you set for another wonderful day here on JOX as we approach the start of the college football season. So today's a little bit of an exciting day. There's something that I'm very interested in, and hopefully we'll get some good stuff out of it later on. But we've been talking a little bit about Big Ten and ACC media days that are going on this week. And today is the big day for the ACC because guess who's rolling into town? Old Chapel Bill. We get to see Bill Belichick and how he approaches the media for the first time as a college football head coach there for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Will Jordan be there alongside him? Will she not? There's endless questions, Damian, and I know, again, I get it. You know, we just got through SEC media days. Everyone's chomping at the bit for the season to start, but I guess this is the final straw of talking season here as media days will wrap up for both the ACC and Big Ten, and then we're finally done with it, but we get to cap it off with Bill Belichick. I am actually looking forward to that and to see if it's the same old Bill or it's a little bit different version.
That's kind of where I'm thinking too. We know how he was when he was at the New England Patriots and how short press conferences usually were. Like, he was a man of very few words. But then you go back and you think of the interview that he had, a couple months ago and how he seemed like he's opened up. He smiled a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how long his opening statement is. Think about, how we always play around with, Shane Beamer has the longest opening statement that we've seen in a long time where he filibusters for 20-something, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick doesn't strike me as that. I think he is. He looks at it like, hey, we got a great team, and I think we'll be successful. And I'm here for questions.
I could see him even going the Mike Leach route of just going up there and saying, "All right, questions."
Just jump right into it.
Nothing to say about the program. No opening statement of any kind. Just, all right, I'm here so I don't get fined. Essentially, ask your questions and let's get out of here.
Yeah, and hopefully the questions stick to the football side of things. Like, there's probably going to be one person of, with all the hype around you off the field, do you know how are you going to be able to keep your focus? Like, Bill Belichick is 70-something years old, and he's been coaching professionals for a long time. I think he knows how to lock in and just make sure some 18 to 22-year-olds understand what the task is at hand. Because I have a feeling that I know there's rules and things that you got to be careful about during fall camp, but I think this year's North Carolina fall camp would look a lot different than it has in years past with old Bill Belichick being out there. But I am excited to hear what he's got to say too, because it's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, exactly. So we are very interested to see what he has to say coming up later at ACC Media Days. We had some interesting comments yesterday. No one really taking shots at the SEC a whole lot yesterday, but I don't know, James Franklin kind of taking shots at his own conference a little bit, kind of with not happy with media days being in Las Vegas and some other things. So there's some interesting comments and interesting things that we can dive into from around the college football world that you may have missed from yesterday. But I know the big topic of conversation yesterday and something that a lot of people are waiting for an update on would be the Birmingham Stallions. And so if you missed it yesterday, if you were busy, you missed the show, you weren't on social media a whole lot. Essentially, there were some rumors that started circulating on Tuesday night saying that the Birmingham Stallions, along with 3 other organizations in the UFL, were going to be relocated. They didn't say exactly where each of those teams was ultimately going to land, but the belief was there were 4 locations across the country, including Boise, Idaho, Columbus, Ohio, Orlando, Florida, and I believe Louisville, Kentucky was the 4th one. And the Birmingham Stallions were going to be one of the teams that was ultimately relocated. The UFL then shared a statement with us that essentially said, we're not going to, we don't comment on these types of reports because there's no merit to them. But the reports and rumors were pretty heavy and from people that are connected within the UFL and have sources within the UFL. And there's reason to believe that there were some legs to the story. But it looks like the Birmingham Stallions' fate maybe hasn't totally been decided. seems to be a pretty fluid situation in terms of, could the Stallions be gone? Absolutely. Could they stay here? Absolutely. But nobody really seems to know what's going on there. So a couple of things. You did have Mayor Randall Woodfin. He put out a statement yesterday about the Birmingham Stallions situation, and I will share some of that with you right now. But he put this on Twitter yesterday afternoon. This is Mayor Randall Woodfin, the mayor of Birmingham. He put, quote, "We've read the rumors from unofficial sources and have been assured by the league that no final decisions have been made about numerous teams for next season, including the Stallions. We were surprised by these rumors since the Stallions had already begun collecting deposits for next year's season tickets. The Stallions have built a strong, passionate fan base and have seen tremendous success on and off the field. Birmingham was Fox's #1 UFL viewership market in the country. There's no question that the team has become a source of pride for our city." So that was Mayor Randall Woodfin. He went and put that pretty pointed comment there on social media of, letting everyone know, hey, no official decisions been made. But also, let me throw in a couple points here in case the UFL's looking to remind them of, hey, you might want to stay and keep this Birmingham Stallions team right here in Alabama. But you also had Coach Skip Holtz, who, I'll be honest, kind of feel bad for the guy, right? Like, you are setting up, if you didn't know, they had a youth football clinic at Legion Field yesterday afternoon. And this had been, that's why. So he was on 3-Man Front on Monday. That's why he was on the show, to promote a youth football clinic, because we were trying to help to get some kids out there to go meet the Stallions and have something to do this summer. And then the next day is when these rumors start coming out. So yesterday turned into, I'm afraid, it looked like everyone had a great time out there, but it's unfortunate that something that's supposed to be about the kids and the Stallions in the community ultimately becomes about this situation. And so this is Skip Holtz. He spoke with the media yesterday at the youth football clinic, and he was asked about the future of the Stallions in Birmingham, and this is what he had to say.
You can't worry about, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if the league folds? What if they add 4 more teams? What if? Right now, let's work with what we have right now. And I've been told to continue business as usual and put our football team together for the 2026 season. I have loved our time here in Birmingham. And like I said, the community has really embraced its arms around us. And to be here today and have a youth camp with a couple hundred players for a free camp that the league is putting on, doesn't sound like a league that's trying to bring in a moving van and run out of town either. Just somebody put some speculation out there and everybody's trying to respond to it right now. And I think the response is, let's keep going until somebody tells us something different. But right now I'm planning on being back in Birmingham.
So there you go. Very similar to what he said on Monday on 3-Man Front he hasn't been given any indication that the team won't be here in Birmingham, and they're going to go ahead and start preparing for next season as if they are here in Birmingham, because that's what they've been told. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll continue to keep you updated, of course. But for you, Damian, do you feel more confident now? Like, do you have that optimism that the Stallions potentially are going to stick here in Birmingham? Because I guess it just seemed pretty doom and gloom yesterday, and it seemed like there's very little hope from a lot of fans and listeners of the Stallions actually staying. But now, after hearing some of these comments and updates, I didn't know if you feel a little better about it.
I do. It's still uncomfortable.
Yeah,
not knowing, just operating in the gray. It's like
it's not fun to be on the chopping block,
right? Yeah. So it's just kind of an uncomfortable situation. But and the encounters that we've had with Skip Holtz, he just seems like a very genuine guy. That he's not one of these coaches is going to talk out of both sides of his mouth. Like, he's under the impression of, I got to get my team ready. I plan on being here in Birmingham. Nobody's told me anything, and I don't think he's one to just try to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and say, nah, not really. Like, we're probably gone. But his mind is set on him returning to Birmingham to coach in 2026, and I think hearing that from the head coach and somebody that I think has a pulse of the city of Birmingham, that we need good news, or at least to assure us that we shouldn't be worried about anything. It leans me in the right direction. Like, yesterday it was more 50-50, like, okay, well, you could tell me that they're leaving. You could tell me that they're staying. Now it's probably 51-49 that we're still going to be here. Like, it's still uncomfortable, but we're trending towards the right direction.
It certainly seems that way. So, I think we all agree that we hope the Stallions stay here in Birmingham. We were kind of joking. We were talking this morning when we got here. I mean, the reality of it is you've probably gotten more promotion for the Stallions or more, word of mouth about the Stallions in the last 24-ish hours, 36 hours than you had all season long. I mean, seriously, just because it kind of spread like wildfire of not only here in Birmingham, but, some of the other cities that might be affected by it in the UFL. But, I think you've got a lot of people here in Birmingham that, maybe they were aware of the Stallions, but now it's like, oh, people really seem to care about this. Maybe this is something that I should check out myself. Maybe this is something worth getting involved in if so many people, feel so passionately about it. So it'll be very interesting to see. Fingers crossed, though. We're all hoping that we have another season of Skip Holtz and the Stallions coming in to Birmingham, but we will just have to wait and see how that situation progresses. And, of course, we will bring you all the updates, everything that you need to know right here on JOX. So we are getting closer to the start of the college football season, and with that comes the end of talking season, which means we have ACC and Big Ten media days going on. So touched on it briefly there at the beginning, but coming up today, you are going to get the likes of Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney and some others that you're going to get to hear from. But yesterday, we got to hear from the likes of James Franklin, Dan Lanning, and some of these other great coaches around the Big Ten and the ACC. And what did they have to say? We're not going to have to go all Kurt Signetti on anybody this morning, which is nice. My blood pressure appreciates that. We can just kind of talk some football. And I want to dive into, we talk a lot about the SEC, but who are some of the teams that maybe are under the most pressure in the ACC and the Big Ten? What are some of our expectations for the Clemsons, the Oregons, the Ohio States, the Miamis of the world? So we'll dive into all of that. We'll tell you everything you need to know about the ACC Big Ten Media Days and share some of our predictions for the upcoming season next on JOX. Welcome back into Morning JOX. Appreciate you making us a part of your morning on this Thursday and each and every morning that you join us here. Conrad and Damien alongside you as we discussed the latest involving the Birmingham Stallions. Skip Holtz saying, again, business as usual for him. Still under the impression until he's told otherwise that there will be a team in Birmingham next year, and that is where his focus is going to be, is putting together that roster for the upcoming season. And so we will just have to wait and see there. Before we get to ACC and Big Ten Media Days, quickly did want to give a Braves update because we haven't done one of those in a few days, Damien, and unfortunately it's going to be a quick one. But Atlanta, they lost 9-3 last night to the Giants, so they now fall to 44-57. So they gave Justin Verlander his first win of the season. He was 0 for 8 heading into the game last night at 42 years old. So honestly, just impressive that he's still kicking it. But so he goes 5 shutout innings yesterday against the Braves. They're able to pick up 3 runs there in the 7th to at least get something on the scoreboard. But Rafael Devers hits a couple of home runs. Chapman had another home run, and that was all she wrote. So Atlanta finds themselves now 13 games under 500, Damien, which is, certainly not where anybody wants to be at this point in the season, but that would put you 14 games back of the New York Mets there in the National League East, and it's good for 10.5 games back of the San Diego Padres for the final wild card spot in the National League. So things not looking particularly great right now if you are an Atlanta Braves fan, but you have 61 games left to play, so you're going to have to win about 40 of those if you want to have any chance of being in the conversation for a wild card spot. But the good news for your team, Damien, is your Cincinnati Reds are 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. That's pretty good. I mean, this is the deepest in a season that y'all have been in this spot in quite some time.
It is. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I thought that we were probably we're peaking a little earlier than I expected. I thought it would probably be like year 3 or 4 of Ellie De La Cruz, but I do think that we're trending in the right direction. We brought up a lot of young guys, and yeah, things are looking bright for the Reds, but the Braves, it's been one of those. It's been one of those seasons.
Yeah, certainly a season to forget there for a lot of you Braves fans. And quickly before we move off of Major League Baseball, quick shout out to the Colorado Rockies. Because, and I'm sorry, Pat Smith, but they shut out the Cardinals yesterday They had not had a shutout in 220 games. So that's over an entire, that's about a season and a half almost since their last shutout. It is the third longest stretch without a shutout in MLB history for any team ever. And they pulled off against the Cardinals last night. So, very unfortunate for St. Louis, obviously. But, yeah, major kudos to the Rockies there as they snap that streak while they are in the midst of one of the worst seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. But, hey, you had last night. You'll always have last night. So that's what's going on around the world of Major League Baseball. But how about what's going on around the world of college football, where we've had ACC and Big Ten media days? So I'll be honest, there really wasn't a lot at ACC media days yesterday that I think, really stole the show. You had Tommy Castellanos kind of doubling back down on what he said. I stand on my comments about Alabama. Okay, that's what you would expect. Pretty much, you can't really. It's going to be a really bad look if you publicly walk those back. So you kind of got to double down. No surprise there. It is what it is. That will be settled on the field August 30th, of course. You had Pat Narduzzi, who said his expectations this year is that he will be playing. He's the Pitt head coach, if you're not familiar. But he said that he expects himself and Bill Belichick to face off in the ACC championship this year. Okay.
I respect him for saying it. He has to believe in his team, and they have to play somebody. And to have the expectation that Bill Belichick in year one for North Carolina to be in the ACC championship, I'd pump the brakes a little bit, but I see that he has a lot of respect for Bill and what he's accomplished in his football career.
Yeah, it's very obvious he's taking a shot at Bill Belichick for one reason or another. I don't know if he just doesn't like that he's getting all this attention or whatever, but the exact quote from Narduzzi was, "I expect them to be in the championship game against Pitt this year. You got Bill Belichick, so you better be, right?" It's like, okay, so maybe not happy that they went and got I don't know why you'd be upset about that, but Pat Narduzzi doesn't like anybody anyway, so it is what it is. But he doesn't.
He does.
He's not. Wouldn't want to grab a beer with him. I'll just say that.
No. Pretty intense.
Yeah, not my kind of, no. Absolutely not. But that's kind of the big takeaways from ACC Media Days. So, again, Bill Belichick and Dabo will be there today. So, that's kind of the big day there in Charlotte as they wrap up their ACC Media Days. And I will just say this. I really, really enjoyed SEC Media Days. I know some people out there have chosen to make it known that they think it's not what it used to be. And I think that's fair to say as well. But a lot of people out there saying, maybe it's a waste of time. Why do we even do this anymore? I don't like it anymore. And that's fine. If that's your opinion, you can go and do that. But I think a lot of us here still see value in going to media days and want it to continue and enjoy being in attendance there. But the one thing that I think you're seeing the ACC do really well is they saved two big names for the final day of media days. And I think that ultimately, just saying, maybe something that the SEC would do next year, because that last day, it really, a lot of people are gone because, no offense, but, a lot of people that are not, if you don't directly cover Kentucky, right? Are you sticking around an extra day to hear about Kentucky? No, you're not. And so I think the ACC did a good job, right? Hey, we're going to put Bill, the guy you all want to see, great. Y'all have a great week, and he'll close it off for us. And I think that's a smart idea.
No, it is. It is. Because it's funny, when we get these, list of who's going to be at what day and things, you kind of look, of course, for us, we look at where Alabama and where Auburn is. But until we got to SEC Media Days and we realized the last day who all it was going to be, it kind of was just, yeah, okay, dude,
Yeah.
Yeah, love Sam Pittman. Okay. Like Mark Stoops. Okay. Eli started it off, and he was like, yeah, all 13 of y'all that are here, appreciate y'all sticking with us this week. And then Mike Elko's just walking in oh, okay, this y'all ready to go home. Y'all ready to get up out of here.
Yes.
But to your point, the ACC got it, and there's okay, we got a bunch of schools to get to. We'll put some in the front half. Y'all handle your business. We want to make sure everybody is here and accounted for in the end on the last day. So let's go ahead and get Bill and old Dabo.
Yeah. So, so we'll see that later on today. I'm sure we'll have that for you we'll definitely have it for you on three-man front. We'll try to carry it live because Bill Belichick is expected to be speaking to the media around 1 o'clock as he will address them for the first time as the head coach of North Carolina football. So very excited to see what we get from that. But how about on the Big Ten side of things quickly? James Franklin, I think that was kind of a lot of the big takeaways yesterday. You also had Dan Lanning, who kind of shared I guess we'll call it a unique idea for the college football schedule, and essentially his idea or what he would like to see happen in college football is he just wants a lot of it to be moved up to where you're not directly competing with the NFL, because that's the big thing is when you get to the one weekend of the year where you would have the college football playoff and the NFL going on Saturday at the same time. And I mean, as we saw last year, I mean, the NFL is going to kill you. Like it is. The NFL is going to slaughter any other event, any other sporting event that is put up directly head to head against it in America. That's just the way that it's going to work. But Dan Lanning, this is what he kind of wanted. So he said, so he wants to move up the season by a week. So he wants to essentially turn week 0 into week 1, and that's when you would be able to. That's when you'd be able to start the season there. He also doesn't want the extended off time from the end of the regular season, or I guess championship week, to the playoff, because he brought up the fact that last year every team, all 4 teams that got a bye in the playoff, lost their next game because they were a little rusty, whereas you had other opponents that had just played, pretty tough competition the week before, and they had gotten a chance to knock that rust off. And so he would like to see some changes there, but ultimately a lot of it is he just doesn't want there to be bye weeks, and he doesn't want to compete against the NFL. So his idea is, I wish we played every single Saturday in college football, and I wish college football ended on January 1st.
I can work with that.
I mean, I'm not mad about it. I wouldn't be. I'm not upset about it if that's the way they want to do it. You want to get it here a little bit sooner. You want to not have as many bye weeks. Now, granted, you've got to have the bye weeks for player safety and health. Like that's going to be a non-negotiable. But I would say, like, I do agree typically, and I guess it's better now. I mean, it used to be crazy when you had a month between like the SEC championship game and the national championship game. That was awful. It felt like you were waiting an eternity for that. I wouldn't mind if they shortened that a little bit. Maybe you have championship weekend, and then, I mean, I'm not mad if you play the very next weekend after that.
Because, I mean, the committee, they already know who's going to be in that Sunday.
Yep.
Might as well just go ahead and say, hey, if you're one of the teams, just might as well hit the practice field come tomorrow.
Yeah. So
just get ready.
And obviously, us as, fans, we have a different perspective on this than the actual coaches and players that have to work around the schedule and how it all goes. But yeah, that was Dan Lanning yesterday saying essentially he just wants the season to be moved up. And instead of ending on January 20th like this year, he wants it to end on January 1st. So some interesting thoughts and comments there from Mr. Lanning. But James Franklin, he kind of got a lot of the attention yesterday, and as he should, right? The media, according to Cleveland.com at least, has projected Penn State as the champion of the Big Ten. A lot of people picking them to win the national title this year. So he had a few things to say, and we still need to get to some of our expectations. Is Penn State the team in the Big Ten that has the most pressure on them this upcoming season? Because you got very, very close last year, but it feels like this is your opportunity, if you're going to win one, that this would be the year for James Franklin. So who has the most pressure on them, and not only the Big Ten, but also the ACC? We'll dive into all that. Let you hear from James Franklin as well when we come back on Morning JOX. .633, welcome back into Morning JOX here on your Thursday morning. Conrad and Damian with you until 7 o'clock, when we will hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning, giving you a little bit of a recap of what you may have missed from ACC and Big Ten Media Days before we share some of our thoughts on the teams under the most pressure in those conferences this upcoming season. But if you are now just joining us here at 6:33, we shared some audio from Skip Holtz earlier in the show from the Youth Football Clinic at Legion Field yesterday. And if you're a Stallions fan and you're wondering what the update is, according to Skip Holtz, business as usual. He has not been told anything that makes him believe that Birmingham is not going to have a team next year. And as of right now, he is continuing to build that roster for 2026, and he is operating as if the Birmingham Stallions will be here in town for the upcoming spring season. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of optimism this morning about the future of the Birmingham Stallions. But how about media days? Got to get to James Franklin here quickly. And so James Franklin is, look, if there's anybody, because we talked a lot about this yesterday with like Kurt Signetti and Rhett Lashley and these guys that make the playoff, right? And you start talking a little smack, right? You start feeling yourself, right? And you would think that James Franklin, probably last year would have been that same way for him as well, right? You came a couple plays away from being in the national championship game. You made it to the national semifinal. You were one of the final 4 teams in college football. A lot of people have them ranked as their number 1 team coming into this upcoming season. But James Franklin just kind of had a bone to pick with some things yesterday. So how about we start off by hearing from James Franklin and Big Ten Media Days in Las Vegas. Is he a fan of it being in Las Vegas or not?
A lot of our beat writers did not come to this because they couldn't afford to get out here. And the majority of our teams are near Chicago, where this used to always be. The majority of our teams are near Indianapolis, where this used to be. And it creates a different environment. I walk around the lobby. I don't see any signage. I don't see anything for the Big Ten. I don't see people getting autographs. I don't see it's a different vibe and it's a different feeling. I think that other conference, when they have their meetings, there's essentially a press conference every single day at the end of the meetings. It keeps people talking about that conference at a time of the year and makes them relevant. We're not doing that. We need to be talking about the Big Ten and our programs and the things that we have done and making it as accessible to everybody as we possibly can and connecting with the fans. And don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I think Vegas is a special place, and I think they run events as well as anybody. But it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. And I've been at those other places where people are putting up babies for you to autograph and stuff. It's different. So I think there's still some things that we got to be strategic and smart about that are going to put our conference and our schools in the best position on a national level, in my opinion.
Interesting. So James Franklin, the former Vanderbilt head coach,
That conference
taking it's like, come on, man, is that Voldemort? Like you can say
our name.
You can say the SEC. I don't think you're gonna get fined for that. Hey, he said it, not us. I mean, he's telling you right there, hey, Vegas is great. It's a cool city. I think we all agree there's a lot of fun stuff to do here, but you kind of get swallowed up in Las Vegas. No one cares about college football media days at Las Vegas. Like, let's be honest, you don't. Like, there's way too many other distractions and things going on. So that was the first thing that caught my ear yesterday from James Franklin, as he basically said, hey, SEC media days, they do it better. And we need to find a way to get ourselves closer to that and getting ourselves that kind of attention on the national scale. But he would continue on, take another shot at the Big Ten here. And so this is James Franklin, and he was asked about, the SEC and the ACC, potentially moving to 9 conference games. Does he think that everyone should play the same number of conference games? And we don't have the audio for you, but this is the quote from James Franklin. He says, when the Big Ten first went to 9 conference games, you could make the argument it was maybe the worst decision that the conference ever made. Mathematically, you're going to have more losses. There's an easy solution to this playoff format. Everybody plays the same number of games in a conference title game, and then everything will take care of itself. So essentially, James Franklin, I take that as, we chose to add a 9th conference game because of the money. That's why you did that. But we talked about this yesterday. No one forced you to add the 9th conference game. You wanted to do it for, monetary reasons, which is perfectly fine. But now you don't get to turn around and tell everyone else, well, you have to do the exact same thing that we did or we're not going to play ball with you. You made this decision on your own. You didn't, this wasn't something that y'all agreed that all 4 of the conferences would always follow suit and play the exact same structure And so now, I get it. You feel like it's at a disadvantage for you. Well, that's what you get for being greedy and going after money, right? It can put you at a disadvantage sometimes. So I applaud James Franklin actually for saying that and kind of backing up the notion that no one forced the Big Ten to do any of this stuff, but ultimately they, I guess they decided to do it anyways.
Yeah, and I will give James Franklin credit. He read the room exactly like it needed to be. Like, hey, we know exactly why we went to 9 games. Don't try to peacock them. I've been down there. I know how it is down in there in the SEC. It's a little different. They can play 8 and still be looked at as some of the best teams in college football because it's the toughest conference. And going back to the Big Ten Media Days being in Vegas, why do they have to meet in the not even in the middle for these West Coast teams that you just brought in? Like, we ain't asked them to be here. Like, we could have kept this in Chicago, could have kept it in Indianapolis, where a lot more people from the original Big Ten could find a way and be present and bring some attention. Like, I get exactly where he's coming from. But when you've got, the Washingtons, the Oregons, the USCs, UCLAs, it's all about the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah.
It just doesn't – the Big Ten has almost like an identity crisis right now because they want to – be looked at as the best, which, again, they have the back-to-back national champions out of their conference. But also, how do you market this? Because when we think of the Big Ten, it's just tough, rugged, old-school football. Now you're in the modern era, and you're trying to modernize it by adding these teams and also try to make it like the glitz and the glamour when it's just not – it's never been something that you hang your hat on. You hung your hat on. Now it's, okay, y'all are trying to play catch-up. And try to say, like, it's almost like trying to be the cool kid. Like, they're the hardest to be the cool kid. And they think just because we've got the money, we should be okay.
Yeah.
But it's old money.
Well, and again, the thing that you're going to get, like, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that, a game day atmosphere, in Columbus, Ohio, or up at the Big House or anything is not on par with the SEC. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's absolutely incredible. Now, is it colder? Yeah. But I'm sure, again, like, that's real college football stuff. But I'm sorry, I find it hard to believe that, the game day atmosphere at a Rutgers, can even sniff, an off Saturday at Kentucky. Like, and I think that's where, you kind of have that separation of the fanfare and the atmosphere of everything. Like, it just, whatever. You can say we're biased, but it just feels like college football in the South, and you get that passion that you don't, you get for some teams up north, but you don't get it, from top to bottom like you do in the SEC with every single program essentially having, that diehard pocket of fans that are going to show up every single Saturday. And a lot of them, we're talking over 100,000 plus. So, but I agree with what you said, the Big Ten, maybe playing a little catch up on the national scale in terms of, they get a lot of attention on Fox and things like that, obviously, but certainly more conversation coming out of SEC Media Days than Big Ten Media Days, and there really wasn't even a whole lot to go off of in Atlanta last week. So that is what that is. But some of you chiming in on the text line, your thoughts on everything we've discussed this morning. And we still have to get to our projections. Who do we think is under the most pressure in the ACC and the Big Ten this year? What are the 2 teams that have to have big seasons this year, or it's going to be an utter failure? We will tell you our picks and get some of your thoughts as well next on Morning JOX. Welcome back into Morning JOX. Conrad and Damian here with you for next 10 to 15 minutes before we hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning, where they will continue to get you ready for the upcoming college football season. Just a handful of weeks away. We're getting closer and closer and closer. It'll be here soon, I promise. And talking season is almost over because ACC and Big Ten Media Day is going to wrap up today. We had Big 12 Media Days 2 weeks ago. We had SEC Media Days last week, so we're done. After this, we're done. It's time to officially get ready for the season, and a week from now, we'll be heading into the month of August anyways, and from that point on, that's when it really starts to hit, right? That's when it really starts to feel like, man, let's break down the 2 deep on the offensive line. I don't care. I just want to talk some football, right? I think that's what we're going to do. So we've been recapping everything you may have missed from ACC and Big Ten Media Days. And so now I did want to get some of Damian's thoughts as well as y'all's on the text line, 205-834-9450. So who is your prediction to win the Big Ten, and who do you think is under the most pressure for this upcoming year? Because, I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's hard for me not to just pick Ohio State. I think Ohio State is an absolute machine right now. I know they have question marks at the quarterback position. I'm assuming it's going to be Julian Sayin. And look, we've seen 5-star guys not work out plenty of times before, but he seems to have the juice. And if he's winning that job this upcoming season, it's because he is the best person for Ohio State, and they believe they can go win a national championship with him. So it's hard for me not to go with Ohio State right now. That obviously can change once the season starts, but right now I'd have to go Ohio State. And I do think in terms of who has the most pressure on them, I mean, I really do think it's Penn State. Like, this is your opportunity to strike. This is your time. If you were to beat Ohio State, I think a lot of people feel it would be this year. You have Drew Aller coming back for his third year. You have arguably the 2 best running backs in the entire country in your backfield. You're going to have a stellar defense. You got to get some help on the outside. You need some playmakers. You need somebody to replace Tyler Warren and what he brought at tight end. But, I mean, this is the year, man. You made it to the semifinal last year. I think if you're going to play for a national title at Penn State and you're James Franklin, this is the year to do it. So I think Ohio State ultimately wins the Big Ten, but I think Penn State has the most pressure on them. What do you think, Damian?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And to your point as well, for Penn State, as far as being under the most pressure, this is the best year you have to change the narrative. Even if you're James Franklin as well, you can win the big one. Like, you have to find yourself in this position where you can't have Penn State on that fringe playoff thing. Like, you have to – this is your year to establish, like, nope, all these pieces that we have returning, we are in the best position to be at the top. How can we stay there? Mm-hmm. And the only mountain you got to really take over is Ohio State. And I agree with you, too. I think Ohio State wins the Big Ten as well. I believe in Ryan Day. I've never had an issue with Ryan Day. I've always thought he was a good coach. The only person he has an issue with is Lou Holtz. Like, that's the only person he's ever had to worry about. And then, of course, the people in Michigan as well, because you got to beat them. Like, you have to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Because, you end up winning the national title, which is fine. But the team up north, they feel like they own you. Like, they feel like they –
Well, they do.
Right. Like, they own you. And, yeah, you can have all the success, but you have to find a way to beat Michigan as well. But I do think that Ohio State ends up winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. The only reason I think that's not a bigger story is because you won a national championship, right? If you didn't win that national championship last year, I think seriously, I think we might be talking about Ryan Day, similar to like a Brian Kelly, right? Where it's not, okay, it's not like a foregone conclusion that you would be let go if you don't make the playoff or you don't win a national title this year, but it get a little dicey.
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it just becomes uncomfortable.
Yes, but winning a national championship, hey, winning solves a lot of problems.
It does indeed.
That's not really a conversation that you're having right now. How about for the ACC, Damian? Because I look at it. I mean, Clemson, obviously, like, I think they're far and away, at least on paper, the best team in the conference. But I think in terms of who has the most pressure on them this year, I'd probably have to go Florida State just because you won 2 games last year, and if you. Okay, you could triple your wins, but you're still at 6-6, going to a bowl game, fighting to go 7-6 with the win in that bowl game. There's a lot of pressure on Mike Norvell, and they paid him a lot of money before last season, and you can't be that flash in the pan, right? You can't have that one undefeated season and that be it for you. So I think Florida State's under a lot of pressure to not only win, I would say try to win 8 or 9 games this year, but just restore that image that Mike Norvell is one of the top coaches in college football and that this is a program headed in the right direction, because right now they're not based on last year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Clemson wins the ACC, but I think the team under the most pressure is the new kids on the block. I think SMU. I think now, because of what they did last season, it's okay, Rhett, you're here. Y'all got a lot of money. How much of it last year was luck, or is this exactly what you brought this team into this conference for? I think that when you have, because last year, going into the season, nobody really knew who Kevin Jennings was. It was mostly Preston Stone, and everybody was like, okay, yeah, I think SMU could be serviceable, and we'll see where it goes. But for Preston Stone to not be the starter, get hurt, and the Kevin Jennings steps in, and all he does is lead them to the ACC championship, and also right when you thought the game was over, they took it literally. It took Clemson the final play of the game to end up knocking off SMU. So now it's okay. SMU, are you truly going to be a contender consistently? And when all the pieces around you should tell you that this team should be pretty good, do you handle the expectations with what comes with winning? My apologies.
No, I think that's no. I think you have a strong argument there, and I think similarly for the Big Ten, right? Like Indiana's kind of got some of that similar pressure on them as well. Of okay, you made the playoff. A lot of people didn't think you deserved it. Now you're talking a lot of smack, or your coaches this offseason. All right, so let's do it again, right? If you can do it again, you'll shut everybody up. But most people are not expecting you to be able to replicate that success. But we will ultimately see. So we'll wrap things up here on the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. Sorry we haven't been able to get to your text earlier, but we'll get to them now as Drake chimes in. Going back to the Birmingham Stallions, if you missed it, Skip Holtz operating business as usual right now. As far as he knows, he's planning to be in Birmingham next year with the Stallions. But Drake says, all I can say is if the Stallions stay in Birmingham, people better show up and show out next season for the games. And I mean, again, we'll see, but I do think that, the word of mouth that you've gotten from this and the publicity that you've gotten from the last 2 days, pretty good. It's going to help. It's certainly going to help. Let's see. Don chimes in. He says, with all the reports coming out yesterday and Coach Holtz's remarks, I feel better about the Stallions coming back. Now, I do think some of the teams are ultimately going to be moved, but I feel better about the Stallions. And he also adds 5 days until fall camp starts for Auburn. It's right around the corner.
It is.
It is absolutely right around the corner. Zach chimes in. He says, Bill Belichick is going to last 2 years at North Carolina, and then he is out of there. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Mad Dog chimes in. He says, at least there's a glimmer of hope left for our Birmingham Stallions. I believe Skip. I think he's a man of integrity. Love y'all's show each and every day. Well, appreciate that, Mad Dog.
Thank you, man.
We love you. Someone says, who y'all got winning the Big Ten? We both went Ohio State. If you are just now joining in, Deacon reminds you, Onesie, Dreamland are both on the table for you, Damien, if you ultimately select Alabama
Roll Tide
as your fan base. And somebody says, Mike Norvell's not close to having Florida State where they need to be. Well,
they just got to get more than 2 wins. I think a bowl game, you should be okay.
You're headed in the right direction at that point. So
and you got Gus Miles on.
And that's right. Appreciate y'all joining us. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m., but right now it's McElroy and Kublik in the morning.